If we have the practical means to dramatically reduce energy consumption, if we have well-respected economists telling us the transition to efficiency will not be a sacrifice, but rather an economic bonanza, if we have political leaders challenging us to set a 10-year goal for a complete transformation to renewable energy, if the worldwide scientific community is informing us that we need to act quickly in phasing out non-renewable energy production to preserve a livable world for future generations, then why isn't this yet happening on a massive scale? What will compel us to act? The reality is that most people and institutions gain motivation to act when it affects our wallets. When we are confronted with immediate opportunities to save money, most of us will take advantage of the situation. For instance, when the price of gasoline rises above a certain threshold, people begin to buy smaller cars and drive less, as documented in this article from the Associated Press. Does it follow that the only way to reduce energy consumption is through imposing higher costs on all electrical ratepayers? Not necessarily, but the current utility rate structure gives us the opposite incentive. For example, this rate table, taken from a Duke Energy publication, discloses that using more energy is rewarded by lower rates once the consumer uses more than 350 kilowatt hours each month. On the other hand, if we use innovative rate restructuring, conservation and investment in efficiency can be rewarded with lower rates, while wasteful energy use can be discouraged with higher rates. Another choice available to homeowners, businesses, and industry is to invest in solar energy or cogeneration systems to supplement their energy resources and avoid paying the higher tiered rates if they can't reduce their usage below the low tier threshold. Many ratepayers may take this option because the new rate structure will create an economic imperative for them to do so. They will profit from this investment by saving on energy costs. It should be noted that this presentation uses the threshold of 350 kilowatt hours per month purely as an example to illustrate the principles involved in using an inverted rate structure. In reality, the rate structure would be somewhat more complex based on the number of people or rooms per household, for instance. In some existing programs in other states, there are more than 2 rate tiers. One program in California, for example, has 5 tiers. In this North Carolina proposal, designing a fair and equitable tiered rate structure would be the responsibility of the North Carolina Utilities Commission, using a set of legislatively mandated guidelines that would result in substantial statewide reductions in energy consumption while providing the percentage of profit guaranteed by law to our regulated utility industry. This table illustrates how investing in efficiency can pay off on a monthly basis and how an inverted rate structure works to favor that investment even more. For example, if a ratepayer were to borrow $720 to replace a pre-1992 refrigerator with a comparably sized 2010 Energy Star model, the monthly payment on the loan would be less than the cost of the energy saved on the utility bill. With an inverted tiered rate structure in place, a further and perhaps more important benefit is that the new refrigerator uses 104 kilowatts less per month than the old one. This would go a long way toward keeping the ratepayer's monthly energy use below the higher tier threshold, substantially lowering the cost of operating all other electrical appliances in the house as well. As shown on the chart, the homeowner can take it a step further by investing in a solar-powered refrigerator and dedicated solar array for for $2,200, displacing all the energy of the old refrigerator and once again helping to keep the monthly utility bill within the lower tier rates. This same process can be performed with clothes washers, dishwashers, and virtually any other electrical appliance. Most other investments in efficiency measures that tighten houses by sealing leaks and insulating from energy loss have even more pronounced financial benefit. The investment in efficiency always pays for itself. An inverted utility rate structure can be used to level out peak demand as well. This is very important because by leveling out peak demand, we can close all polluting peak power plants and several baseload plants that currently run continuously, providing a tremendous overcapacity only to ensure that enough power is available during the short periods of peak usage. By charging upper tier rates for peak power usage and staggering ratepayers within zones for these higher costs, electrical consumers can and will avoid substantial use of energy at these times. This can be done without discomfort or inconvenience by a small investment in automatic timers for electric water heaters, heat pumps, and other space conditioning equipment. By leveling out peak demand, the utility industry will realize a dramatic reduction in the cost of producing energy due to the closure of numerous power plants. But the now dispersed total energy used and sold during peak hours will remain relatively constant. This translates into a substantial excess profit for the industry. In North Carolina, the utility industry, as a regulated monopoly, is guaranteed and limited to approximately a 12.5% return on all capital expenditures. If revenues exceed this percentage of profit, normally rates would be lowered to compensate. But, as part of this proposal, instead the money would be deposited in a public benefit fund. Let's come back to this in a moment.